Okay.
on your channel. We are live, but not on your channel. So we're
so professional.
Yeah. I think we are now. Hey, welcome to NonSeqShow. I got to tell you, everything good already kind of happened. Everyone's been naked already, but we'll do a second totally clothed part of the stream there. We're definitely live over there now.
We're definitely live now. Hi, everyone.
To review where we are right now, we have on the line somebody called Mitch, and Mitch has just asked if religion still has a place in the world, and Shannon Q just gave an amazing response, which you can watch over on my channel on replay after all this is over, and we are going to move next to Kyle. Kyle, what do you think? Religion having a place in the world?
I'm going to keep it short so that we can get, I think we should utilize these two lovely ladies that we have here. So sure. I'm just going to say no if it were my answer. I think now that it's here, it's really hard to get rid of. But if you could start over and sort of go back, I wouldn't say so. It's a really hard question to answer. A big part of me wants to agree, though, with Shannon in the sense that now that it's here and it's something that people sort of latch onto, it would be really difficult to try to eradicate that belief from them. I don't know what they would replace that with. So yes and no. In an ideal world, no, though.
Rachel.
Oof, you guys have kind of covered a lot of anything I could say, but I would say in the past, it's obvious why we've needed religion, and it's definitely filled a lot of voids where we didn't have answers to things, so it helped people out, and it's a source of comfort. I think there's nothing that religion can do today that can't be done by something else. For example, you want community, join a football team. You want answers, turn to science. That said, that doesn't take away from the people who do find things like comfort and things in religion. So I think it's useful, but not necessary, like Hal says.
She meant American football, by the way, just so everyone knows.
No, real football.
Allow me to wrap this up with a terrible metaphor. And so let's say a world without religion is the color red, and the world as it is right now with religion is the color blue. You have a wall. It is currently blue. You want to change it to red. Well, blue has to exist until you go coat by coat, and you get rid of it a little bit more until you are at a totally red world. This is not a pro-communist message. That is not what I mean by the red.
Yes, it is.
I am simply
Sounds
saying
like a bunch
that
of communism to me.
it is.
Comrade.
Yeah. Let's and let's just make it the law that everyone has to be but religion, you can't just take it out like a rug from under somebody all at once. It does have to transition out.
Well,
but like Rachel said,
it would be nice if everybody was at least a little bit critical in their thinking. But so I wouldn't have to play when I talk to them. I wouldn't have to play jump around or not to say anything to offend them.
Yeah,
we'd be out of business though.
That's one of the things, though, whether it's necessary or not is an interesting question. But the problem is it exists because people believe it. So
and it may not go anywhere.
It's not necessary all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. But that's not going to change the reality of the world we exist in unless we can convince people that it's not true.
There's another thing with that too, though.
Arbitrarily.
With that, there was a recent study out that showed that as religion is declining across this country, there's an increase in beliefs in pseudoscience, like with anti-vaccine. That is seeing a rise, and we're seeing the effects of that in terms of these measles outbreaks that are happening all across the country. So people are simply just replacing, in a lot of cases, their religion with some sort of harmful belief that actually manifests itself into something that's really
like
scary.
Libertarianism. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
That's actually the accusation I get all the time because I grew up as a religious conservative and now I'm an atheist liberal. And a lot of people will say like, well, you're liberal because you replace God with the government, which is an absurd and ridiculous response that we'll get into a totally different day. But thank you so much for calling, Mitch. I hope we answered your question.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Talk to you next time.
Mitch's enthusiasm is infectious.
I'm just so happy to be here.
It was quite like I don't actually watch any of your channels. I just saw that this showed up on my feed. Who the fuck are you guys? Next we have Dylan. Dylan, won't you say hello?
Oh, hi.
Hi there. How are you
Can you
doing?
hear me?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good.
My question's kind of a more or less fun one.
Okay.
Well, I guess, to me. Because I had actually asked you in a super chat not too long ago, and I believe Shannon was actually present, but you had pronounced it wrong. It's if a cryptid was most likely to exist, which one do you think would?
Yeah.
And I guess you don't know what a cryptid is?
I didn't at the time, but you just mean like a supernatural monster or something, right?
Like the Bloods and the Cryptids?
Yeah, like Bigfoot or besides aliens, because I know most of you are going to probably say aliens.
Yeah. So besides aliens, you want to know which one we most likely think would be the most likely to exist?
Yeah. This is a fun little
between
thing, I guess. Sorry.
Let's start with Rachel this time.
Oof. I don't really know what a cryptid is. Is it just like a kind of mythical creature, or?
Yeah, things that are popular in for people to believe in. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, in that case, I'd say dragons.
Yeah.
Because
is that the one you want the most?
Or no, I think they're the most likely because they're probably like the closest to lizards and stuff. And like, have you ever seen a Komodo dragon? They are terrifying and amazing, and I love them.
All right.
Like, imagine that with wings.
Cool.
Shannon.
I would say some sort of sea monster, because there's so much of the depths of the sea that we have not explored and aren't aware of what is down there. So I think from a pragmatic sense, because I'm a loser and I'm not as much fun, it would be some sort of sea monster.
Shannon believes in the Kraken, and it's not a matter of would be. She absolutely thinks it's a real.
I do. Yes, I do.
That exists.
Quote me. The Kraken is real.
Okay.
Release it.
So, out of the things that are said to be real, which one do I think is actually the case? I would say an actual good Nickelback song. I hear that there's a reason why they sell so many.
Your filthy mouth.
so many out. Shannon, just look at this photograph. Every time
you're making me mad on purpose. God damn
I love that. I love the Vine where they switch what's in his hand and they just cut out that little bit of sand. So it goes, look at this graph. I love it. I would say that it would probably be the most likely to happen would be like in some jungle, some lost species like Homo habilis or Osteopithecus africanus. You find them, and that's what Bigfoot turned out to be. Is one of them. Yeah. Or, Cain from the Adam and Eve story. Cain is Bigfoot, which is what many Mormons, some of them will say they don't. It's in their books. Mormons believe Cain is Bigfoot. They either believe that they either believe that Cain is Bigfoot, or they at the very least still absolutely believe that Cain still roams the earth and looks exactly like Bigfoot. So take it with a grain, or whichever way you want. But the fact of the matter is back in several decades ago, when their prophet dude wrote about meeting Cain and described him in Utah, the reported sightings of Bigfoot went through the fucking roof. Kyle, go ahead.
Two things. Number one, Cain isn't roaming the earth. He wrestles for the WWE. I think he might be mayor now, actually, too. And number two, if you are into Bigfoot, I have a lady coming on this week who she's part of the sack. What do we say, Shannon? Sack skin.
Oh, it was
Sachin.
Sack Watchers.
Yeah, but it's like a religious belief where they pay homage to Bigfoot, and this is completely real. So if you're interested, check it out. You can be a squatcher.
Sack Watchers instead of Sasquatch.
Yeah.
I would also love for dragons to be real. That would be incredible. And I mean, as far as as dragons go, I don't see much difference between like a pterodactyl and a dragon besides like breathing fire and stuff. So
That's true.
somehow well, you don't think dragons could have feathers?
You're right. I have no idea what dragons look like. I've never seen one. I take it back. Stand corrected.
We can start. We can start. Go ahead.
I mean, angel dragons are the feathered dragons. Is the species of feathered dragons, I believe.
There you go then.
Now we can get
the title for them.
Now we can get into those like those really nerdy battles that I love to get in about like they say dragons on Game of Thrones, but technically I think she has worms.
Yeah, they're wyverns.
You're right. Yeah, wyverns. Or is it wyverns or wyverns?
I know it's pronounced different. My cousins pronounce it wyvern. I pronounce it wyvern.
So a wyvern is like a bat where the arms go through the wings. An actual dragon would be something with 4 arms and independent wings. Just in case anybody wanted. Exactly.
The Sirion.
He's a wyvern. All right, thank you so much for calling in, Dylan. I hope those were good enough answers for you.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted a light topic. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It was fun. Thank you.
You remind me.
Have a good one, Dylan.
I will come through that screen call. I swear to God, I'll do it.
One
more Nickelback joke. End of our friendship.
Look at this graph.
Everyone has a line. That's my line.
Hey, we all just want to be rock stars, okay?
I fucking hate you so much. Oh my God. I hate everybody.
Hey, they came from your neck of the woods. Thank you.
Cole, you are on the air.
Everything that comes from here.
Cole is on the air. Cole, are you there?
Cole.
Cole's been waiting 46 minutes.
Coleslaw.
Come on, Cole. We believe in you. Let me see if I can read the question. Oh, there you are. Are you there?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
Good. What's your question?
You're second guessing your.
Hi, Jimmy.
Hi. How are you?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. Is there like a huge delay between us? What's going on here?
Yes.
So I'm graduating high school this year, and I'm having a graduation party with all my whole family. And my mom's side of the family is some are religious, some aren't, and I wear a pentacle. And my question is, when I go to my graduation party at a beach, my uncle and my grandparents are religious. When they see it, I don't know how to handle if it gets out of hand. Because it always gets out of hand when my family gets together.
Okay. So if I'm to understand this, basically she's graduating from high school. There's a party is going to happen. She's non-religious and wears a pentacle that is going to be opposed to her aunt and uncle's beliefs, it sounded like, and wants to know how to respond if things get out of control. I will tell you from the onset that I am not the right person to ask this, because I show up to Thanksgiving hoping a motherfucker will say something. Like, just I want it to go that way. So I'm the worst for this. Who wants to take this one?
I was just gonna say how eager are you to get in an altercation with them? You know what I mean? Like, is this something that you're okay with? Like, just maybe if you're around them tucking the pendant, or is it something that you want to show off and you want to be you and not care what anybody thinks?
I want to show it off. I don't really see this uncle that much, or his wife, or my cousins, my mother's parents that often. But it's part of who I am and what my spirituality is a big part of me, and I want to become a scientist. And I just really want to bring Bill Nye up with my uncle, because he does not like Bill Nye.
Well, what I would say, and then like I said, I'm going to be quick again. If that's the way that you feel, I would wear it and just say, fuck anybody that doesn't like it. Be you. Be true to you.
What about you, Shannon?
It all comes down to what your comfort level is too, and whether or not, one of the first things I preface any conversation like this with, especially when you're still living with parents and dependent on family, is please make sure that you're safe. Don't do anything that puts you in a dangerous situation when you are in a situation where you're dependent. And I know that sucks to have to swallow something like that, but always make sure first and foremost that you're safe. If you know that you're safe with your family and you have that ability.
Anyways, my mom is gay anyways.
I'm so sorry, did you say your mom's passed away?
Gay, I think.
Gay?
Well,
okay.
My mom is, I have two moms.
Oh, great. Okay, so and they're
cool.
And your moms are very accepting of you, and you know that you have a safe place to be. You shouldn't have to hide yourself. That doesn't mean that you need to be combative, though. I mean, these are family relationships that affect not just you; they affect the other people in your family who may be protective of you, but still want to maintain relationships as well. So maybe practice a little bit of how to parse the issue with them, or just don't bring it up at all. And if they bring it up, just say something along the lines of, I would never question the way you believe. I believe that you have the right to believe the things you believe, and I don't think that it should affect our relationship. And I would really appreciate it if you would give me the same respect that I'm giving you.
I completely agree. I've definitely had kind of conflict with my family before over different issues. And I think for me, just learning to say, look, I respect your beliefs. Can you respect mine? And then maybe changing the conversation or reminding them why they're there in the first place. Like, it's your graduation. That is an incredible, amazing thing. Like, remind them that, they're meant to be there to support you and celebrate all these amazing things you've done, not to critique something like your beliefs. Just ask them to change the subject, move.
I don't respect my family's beliefs, so just a slight difference. I mean, they're part of a cult that is behind a lot of really terrible political action in this country. So, what I would suggest is you mentioned that you have two moms, and my guess is they've had to interact with your aunt and uncle before, and so you might also just try and anticipate what's going to happen by undoubtedly if there's religious conflicts, they've already had them, and see if you can't find out. And then the other thing you could do is when those conflicts start, say, listen, I'm not willing to have the conflict now, but I am willing to argue about this later as long as you'll appear on the NonSequitur show with me to do so. And I know Kyle would happily host that.
And then have a pre-placed location where you can take a can of red paint, and as he's like arguing with you, paint the pentagram on the floor. And just stand in the middle of it.
Yeah. That'll be beautiful.
You'll get the message, I promise. You'll get the message.
So between the four of us, Cole, I hope you got something useful. I'm the least useful because when I hear somebody's headed to a family event who's planning to argue with me, I'm so ready. So ready. That's when I straight up go apologist supreme. That's when I go I think everyone here knows Apologist Supreme. That's when I'm just my debate score is 400-0 with my family.
No, and see, I'm the exact opposite of that. Like, my grandmother is super religious, and I stay away from that conversation because it's my grandma, and I'm not gonna. I don't want to upset her.
Makes me look like an asshole. I don't.
I'm just saying,
my grandma.
I'm just saying. I'm very close with. It would be an issue where I would be like, I understand, Grandma, and move on. Like, I wouldn't try to, like Jimmy said, try to be 490 to 1
to 0. 490 to 0 is my debate score.
Like, if it's a relationship that's important to maintain, like Kyle's grandmother, then that you're going to approach it differently than if it's somebody who's just done nothing but piss you off and you want to be like, you just want to set them up.
Uncles are expendable.
Here's the thing about my family, and I'm not going to call out the individual who did it, but I almost thought about doing it anyway right after I said that, just saying their name only. But basically, like, the reason why I'm ready to defend myself and talk about it is because it's going to be said that I did whether or not I do. And this happened a few Thanksgivings ago. I had agreed with my other brother who was freshly out of religion that no religion was going to come up, and we would just sit quietly when they do their stupid meal prayer, all of that kind of stuff. And And then after we kept to the rules. We had this big harmonious thing. I get a call 2 days later from my mom saying that somebody, one of my sibling-in-laws, said that in front of their son, I said the phrase, "I don't care that marijuana is going to kill me. I'm going to smoke it anyway," which is an absurd thing for me to have said on so many levels.
Actually, sounds like something I would say. Actually, sounds like something I would say.
You don't care that marijuana's probably not going to kill you.
No, well, and that was the
There's a 99.9% chance that you couldn't even overdose on marijuana if you try.
Or Doritos. You can overdose on Doritos.
Yeah, you can eat so much Doritos that you die as a result. That's fair.
They could have come up with such things that clearly would have been to them dangerous for their kids to hear. Instead, they went with something that obviously was so absurd. Even if it was true, I wouldn't have said it. But I know it's not true also. And at that time, I did smoke weed every now and then. I live in Colorado. You just do it at some point.
You didn't even die.
You probably said it, just don't remember it then.
Yeah,
you said it, just don't remember it then.
Right. I'm addicted to marijuana, everybody. That's the headline here. Thank you so much, Cole, for calling in. Is anything here helpful? Will something help here?
No. Yes. Hey, Shannon.
I think she picked Shannon.
Do you like my? I'm so sorry.
I like the cup.
She likes your cup.
Oh, thank you. My tart mug.
Oh, gotcha. I thought she was saying Shannon was the only one with good advice.
Make sure you get that red paint, and I'll set a date for you and your uncle. I'll set a date for you and your uncle to come on the show and battle it out.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Cole. Yeah, I just so remember, everybody, if you're going to be in a situation where you're worried you're going to have to be in arguments you don't want to be in, just say something like, "I don't care if marijuana is going to kill me. I'm going to smoke it anyway."
Right. And have no mercy on your grandmother.
By the way,
no mercy for grandmas.
I'm still bitter about it because that was actually why, like, I was asked to not come to that following Christmas and the next year's Thanksgiving and Christmas because this individual in my family, who everyone in the family knows that this person and their spouse are the most full of shit people and just garbage human beings, but it was like, well, we want to see our theist grandkids at the expense of, because they were saying if Jimmy comes, I won't, and neither will our kids. And so,
so they were using a child as a weapon against you. Oh, that's
4 of them. Yeah.
At least you had marijuana, Jimmy. At least you had marijuana.
Yeah. At least at the end of the day, though it is going to kill me one day.
Yeah.
Alex, you are on the air. Hello, Alex.
Hello.
Alex.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
I might sound like I'm 9 years old, but I'm not.
Okay. Well, just to be, we'll be careful either way in what we say.
Yeah, I don't want to affect my small brain.
No. That's not what I meant at all. I just meant
that's me.
This is not me. This isn't a show for minors, but anyway, go ahead. And what was your question, Alex?
So I am pansexual. How, do you have any tips for coming out to my parents?
Yes. So I do, but it's this is another situation where, so Kyle isn't pansexual, but Kyle has, I imagine, had to have a more significant coming out instance than I have. I'm pansexual and I didn't have really any coming out experience with, not my family anyway. They just kind of figured it out eventually. So I think let's give it to Kyle first, and let me gather my thoughts on this.
Well, I gathered everyone around my closet and rigged it to where when I opened the door, streamers would. I'm just kidding. So yes, I did have a sort of a time where the thing with coming out is this: you have to make sure it's at a time when you can be independent of yourself, because you don't know the direction that conversation is going to go, or in some cases you may know if it's going to go really bad, Usually that's the way it's going to go. Otherwise, if it was going to go good, you would have already let them know. For me, I was 25 when I came out, and it was the most nerve-wracking day of my life. Nothing since then has come anywhere close. And I was at a point where if things went bad, I would still be okay. I was self-sufficient. I was living on my own. I didn't have any ties to anything that would sort of send me into a homeless situation or a situation where I just wouldn't be able to make it. It's a horrible position to be in when if you are in that sort of place where you are dependent on somebody and you have to go through life as somebody that you're not. I did that for 25 years, so I know exactly how that feels. It's exhausting. It's you're just not you. And if you can look to the other side, though, if you can look to the side where the conversation's over and you don't have to hide anymore, that is the best day that you will have. And you have to sort of keep that day in the forefront of your mind, that no matter what the bad is that happens, no matter who you lose, no matter who doesn't care enough about you to let you be who you truly are, because you don't want those people in your life anyway, right? If somebody's not willing to accept you for who you are and love you for who you are, you don't want those people in your life. So keep your mind on the feeling that you're going to get once you have the conversation. And the conversation's tough. I wound up like just crying most of it because I couldn't get out what I wanted to say. I had a speech built up in my head beforehand. None of that worked for me. I just, as soon as I was there with my mom and my dad, it just didn't come out that way. Luckily for me, I didn't have anybody that left me because of that. And I know that's not the situation for everyone, but the feeling after that, there's nothing like it, because then you can start being who you truly are. You don't have to hide anymore. That mask that you put on every day, along with the clothes that you wore to school, you don't have to put it on anymore. I left it there that day, and that feeling is worth the and again, it sucks to say this because it sucks you're even in this position where you have to be worried about being who you are. I can't give you any advice that's going to make you feel better about the situation because I don't know your situation. But if you're in a place where you're not dependent on anyone, do it. Because looking back, if I could have done it a lot sooner, I would. I wasted so many years not being who I was out of fear of living my life for other people. I wasn't living it for me. I was living it because it was going to make them uncomfortable. And that's no way to go through life at all. Be who you are. And like I said earlier, fuck anyone else that tries to tell you differently. Love who you are, embrace who you are, and never, ever hide.
Yeah, and I think, so in gathering my thoughts here too, touching on some of the stuff Kyle's shared there, it's definitely important to have some community, and something I've been recommending to people coming out as atheist or really coming out as anything is have somebody else there also, because you will find that sometimes just the mere families are really willing to embarrass themselves when they're only in front of their own family. They're more reluctant when other people are present. So it helps to have a mediator and somebody who understands, especially if it's somebody your family knows and respects also. And so if that's possible, that is extremely useful too. But then again, yeah, don't if you're in a place right now where you're totally dependent on your family, it's one of those things where it's tricky. And I've definitely recommended to people before that work on finding a way out of that situation, or having a backup plan out of that situation rather. Find a community of people who can help in things before you come out. we've never had these discussions between myself and Shannon or myself and Rachel. If you have any relevant experiences with coming out as anything, including atheist, I'm sure Alex would love to hear it.
So when my sister came out, she was very worried about what everyone was going to think. And it turns out my granny was the one who kind of like stuck up for her. And my mum was very upset at first. She was very emotional. And my granny was the one who turned around and was like, for God's sake, she's still your daughter. Like, she's exactly the same person she was a day ago. So if you're sure you're ready to tell your family and you've thought it through and you know how you want to do it, then you might be surprised who your allies are. So don't kind of expect the worst of people. You might be surprised, but I don't know. You know your family better than me, so just thought I'd share that.
Good. Any notes from you, Shannon?
I have almost nothing to contribute, you guys.
That's okay.
I really don't. I just think that I always beat the drum of just make sure you're safe. If you're in a dependent situation, don't put yourself at risk.
Yeah.
Other than that, you shouldn't ever have to apologize for being yourself, for being who you are. And if the people who love you the most only love you with stipulations, then that's not the type of love that you need.
Totally agree.
There's always going to be out there for you, and if you're not accepted by your family, then you'll find a new family. You will.
Yeah.
And that's the case with a lot of us, I think, that have families that are. I have a family, and I have a family. There's the people I am biologically related to, and I am biologically related to them, but I have a family that is completely separate from that. And and some of them are here with us today. I'm not going to say which one isn't. Shannon! Just kidding.
You're such a fuckface. God damn it. Ruin everything. It was such a nice moment, Jimmy. God damn it.
If Kyle is daddy, then Shannon is absolutely mommy. Alex,
Divorce.
I was a big reform. I literally was.
Divorce.
That was my job.
Alex, hopefully there's something useful in there. Did you have anything else before we let you go?
No.
Okay. Thank you for calling in.
Good luck.
Good luck,
Big
Alex.
good luck. Yeah, huge. And shoot us emails on. Kyle and I have open email accounts. I don't know what.
Please.
But definitely send Kyle and us and I at least emails following up.
I would love to hear what happened.
Let's see here. Now, I will tell you, I don't know if anyone noticed that I adjusted my hair during the last call.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So let's go ahead and bring in Matt. Matt, what was your question?
Which one of you and Kyle, which one of you do you guys think has a better haircut and why? I will not accept an answer like it's on my head, so it's better.
Yeah. No, I got you. Okay.
Well, Rachel and I are going to end up having to do this. God damn it.
Yeah, it's exactly. It sounds like first we have to debate the merits of our own hair, and I will say.
Did you see what happened on Game? Well, did you see what happened on Game of Thrones this past Sunday?
No,
that
no
epic
spoilers.
battle?
No
It's
spoilers.
going to be nothing like. It's going to be nothing like that battle. Like,
Because
that
you'll be
will
able
pale
to
in
see this.
comparison.
You'll be able
What's
to see
gonna
this
happen
one.
on here.
This one will be bright enough. Here is my defense of my look. This is a tried and true look for 2,000 years, first popularized by Jesus on the cross. Kyle, you go ahead.
No. I need you to go first.
Okay. Well, that was my whole thing. This has never been a style that wasn't around. Now, granted, this has often been a style that's been on more like cult leaders and hippies and things of that nature in the past. But they always got it in. That's what I have to say here. Kyle, you ready?
Yes. Okay. Now, normally, see, I would I'm going with sort of a new age type pompadour. It works for the type of head that I have, but I win by default because there is Jimmy's hair. If he wore it like he has it now with those long, luscious locks, maybe we wouldn't be here. Maybe we wouldn't have sort of a competition. But there's one position that negates that entire existence, and that is this.
No, that doesn't
Anytime
negate. It only
the man bun. Anytime the man bun is engaged,
let's get it back
I
up.
win by default.
First of all, this isn't a man bun. This is a rant bun. And here is why you lose, Kyle.
Okay,
Can
if
you bun?
call your hair a rant bun, you've lost. I'm sorry. That's
Kyle,
gayer than I am.
Can you bun? I've always suspected I was gayer than you were anyway. Kyle, can you bun?
What?
Oh my
Can
God.
your hair bun?
I don't want it. That's the point. I
This
don't
is
want
why
it.
this is why you hate the bun, because Kyle doesn't have the option of the bun. You know who has the option of the bun? Me. You know who else? Princess Leia. Both of us are heroes.
Okay, look. That doesn't work because if I wanted the option to bun, I just would stop doing anything to the top of my head, and eventually, I would have the option to bun it. But no, this is meticulously kept.
Yeah,
And groomed
it reminds me of.
and sought after. It takes a lot of work.
It's
okay?
really just
You can't
exactly
give
like
up and
religion.
bun it.
A lot of people
Right.
would be better off if they just let their religion go, and you'd be better off if you'd let your hair grow.
But now that it's
just-
here, it ain't going nowhere. We've already
Anyway.
established this in the beginning of the show.
I guess we could just take it to Twitter again, see who made the best case. But we'll let Shannon and Rachel. We can let Shannon and Rachel start with the preliminary case.
Drop it.
Oh, this is a hard one for me because
Yeah.
I know how meticulous Kyle is about his hair because I get pictures at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday of him literally placing.
I need witnesses. I need
And I
witnesses.
feel like
Drying up egg
Kyle
whites.
requires more effort too. Like there's more, it's more labor intensive than yours. Like yours is just, it's up or it's down.
It's just natural beauty. You're right.
But if he grew his out, it would probably be similar in order for his.
We'll never
It's
know.
up and it's down.
There's
In
an
order-
entire archive of me on the internet from bald to this. We'll never know with Kyle.
Oh
Gotta
my
say,
God.
Kyle's is more well kept, but I do have a soft spot for long hair and a man bun. It's a bit of a weakness for me. That
That's
said,
fair.
only one of you has been compared to a discount garden gnome. So if that weighs it,
Thank you.
Wait, I don't think that was a compliment. Was that a
No,
compliment?
it was. Yes, it absolutely was.
yeah.
If it was a compliment, it means she's giving you the
Kyle, that's a
pity vote.
compliment.
It's okay. I'll take it.
The pity-
I'll take it.
Anyway,
As long as I win, I'll take it.
so some unbiased source can start a Twitter poll, and I can smoke you again, just like last time.
As long as I win, I'll take the pity vote. That's fine.
I,
Yes, I am the discount garden gnome.
We'll head that up. We'll some unbiased source. You take care of it on Twitter. We'll see. Because if I'm not gonna just put it out on my Twitter because it'd be so easy
Hey,
and obvious to
you
win.
notice
And
who's worried? Who's saying let's take it to Twitter? Let's find out what the people.
we've already done it.
Look,
we did this.
I'm all cool back here. Look, take it
We
to
did
Twitter.
this like 2 weeks
Take it to
ago.
Twitter.
Not only did I beat you, I beat Shannon also, which is why
did
she
Take it
beat
to
gave
me.
me.
Twitter.
That's
You
why.
did. But to be
that's-
fair, I don't do anything with my hair. I haven't got a haircut in 3 years and I don't dye it. Like this is just.
Mm.
It just
But you
is
know
what it
To be
why
is.
fair
it
though,
was
Jimmy,
close?
Dr. Phil
I don't
beat you
try.
though in that poll.
No, he didn't. Nobody beat me.
Yes, he did.
No one has beaten me on any of those polls.
Didn't scientists
Dr.
melt at
Phil
you?
beat Steve and somebody else. They didn't beat me. That didn't
That's not even a
happen.
contest.
I
Oh, I hate Dr. Phil.
the reason why it was close with Shannon, not with Kyle, but with Shannon is because Shannon could bun if she wanted to.
I
And that's
could,
what it
and I
comes down
have,
to.
and I'll bun again.
Oh,
Not
we'll
buying
bun
it.
together.
I will.
Not buying
I bun so hard.
I'm gonna.
Not bad.
I'm so excited to bun with mommy. Okay.
Hey,
Uh,
hashtag gnome way.
I'm really uncomfortable.
Gnome way. Gnome way can Jimmy win.
Matt, I hope you got what you wanted out of this because I'm not going to speak to anybody on this panel for
I got
months.
a little bit more than what I
Hashtag
wanted.
no
And
mercy.
we all got what we wanted. Everybody wins.
Yeah. So just so you know,
Actually,
anybody,
somebody in the
thank-
live chat just said that my hairstyle is called the gnome over.
the gnome. Yeah. Thank you for calling, Matt. And to everybody who's here, anybody in the chat and my audience who's wondering when my next collabs with any of these individuals will be, you keep on waiting and you keep on wondering.
The
answer is never.
Because I must have
It'll be
forgotten.
next week.
Not you. I said my
Next
audience. My audience, I said. They often ask. All right. Let's see. Let's move into, or onto rather. Oh, it's not working here. Give it a moment. Bree,
I'm glad
can
you
you hear
corrected
us?
yourself there. Moving into.
Yes, I can hear you.
Let's move into Bree.
It was a creepy slip of the tongue that I didn't mean. Bree, what is your question for us?
So I have one funny thing that I want to share before I go into the question, because it's kind of a simple question. But
okay, sure.
So I went to Christian school for 11 years, and when I was an edgy middle schooler, I heard a very abridged story of the Book of Mormon, and I was like, haha, isn't it funny that Mormon sounds like moron?
Yeah, so I actually I brought. It's funny you bring that up because it's
That's
so
hilarious.
It's so close to the same story. And if your name was Tyler, I would be like, yo! But I brought an abridged, the cartoon version. Was that the one you're talking about? The like drawn cartoon that you read, not like a video cartoon?
No, I had heard about it in Bible class, I think.
I see. So I took a drawn cartoon version that was like an abridged Book of Mormon on the bus with me to school, and I showed it to my friend Tyler, and the first thing he did was just die laughing because he pronounced it the Book of Moron instead of the Book of Mormon. And I was in second grade or so, and I was devastated.
Love it.
Oh.
Anyway, what's the question, Bree?
Okay, so I just graduated from college, so I am looking to have a bunch of free time, and I'm looking to see what your favorite books or podcasts are, so I can keep myself educated and things. I've read books about anti-vax and more scientific stuff, because that's where my background is, but I was wondering what you all are reading or what you recommend.
Oh, can I start?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Go with, if you haven't checked out Shannon's channel, listen to her conversations, and then the Here and How podcast. That's a very good podcast that you can learn. Both of these ladies here in the call put out super content, not only on their respective channels, but you have Shannon with Heathen Hour and Godless Cranium when they did their podcast, and then you have the Here and How podcast, which is also just equally great. So you can check out both those.
Shannon.
Thank you. That's so sweet. When Kyle is nice to me, I get confused and flustered.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Always keep them guessing.
I can go with some books first. So right now I'm reading Alpha Gods by Hector Garcia, which is a really, really good book so far. I actually met him at the ACA when I was there last week, and so I decided to read his book, and it's really, really good. I'm not all the way through it yet, but it's a fascinating look at the evolutionary psychology of religion and how the alpha male archetype represents itself throughout multiple religions, and how that is sort of emergent from tribalistic heritages. Really, really interesting. It's far more complex than I'm giving it credit for right now because I'm trying to be succinct. Before that, I read Sapiens, which is a really good book. I cannot remember the name of the author right now for the life of me, but it's just called Sapiens. And it's an anthropologic move through the entire history of humanity. And it's pretty awesome. So
Yuval Noah Harari is the name of the author.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was great. And I suggest Apologia, and the Non-Sequitur show, and Mr. Atheist.
You're
already here.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You don't want to watch this show.
Since when does Jimmy ever need any love? Rachel, you go ahead.
So I was going to recommend Sapiens as well. It's absolutely fantastic. I'd love that book. It depends kind of what you want to read, but if you're into neuroscience, I really recommend a book called Synaptic Self, which looks at how kind of neuroscience and like the brain on a cellular level affects our identity and personality and who we are. It's a really interesting read, and it's one of my favorite books. If you're into podcasts, there's some really great new ones out. So Cosmic Skeptics just released one, which is fantastic. Also, just kind of like as a little bit of a shameless plug while I'm here in Austin, the ACA, the Atheist Community of Austin, puts out some fantastic content, lots of call-in shows, kind of like this, but with really smart people. They have the best guests. So you've got to...
Fuck you, Rachel!
Look, I know that was insulting, but I love that. I know that was insulting, but I love that. That was fantastic.
Kind of like this show, but
with smart people.
With really smart people.
Love it.
I know you didn't mean it like that, but that was perfect.
That was good. That was good.
Last night
I can do that'll top that.
Last night I revealed to my audience that 2 to 4 times a week I genuinely consider deleting my entire channel, and now it's going to happen. Thank you, Rachel. That's the end of Mr. Atheist. You will all never see me again.
Can I have one more?
Go ahead.
Thinking Fast and Slow. It's not an easy read, but it's a fantastic. Rachel, it sounds like me and you have similar book tastes. I'm going to have to read that book that you mentioned about
The Alchemist. The Alchemist. If you haven't read it, if you've never read that, read that.
Again.
Go ahead, Rachel.
I was just gonna say, if you're into psychology stuff as well, anything by Dan, I think it's Dan Ariely. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He wrote Predictably Irrational, which is all about kind of like understanding our urges and why people make choices and why we sometimes seem to act irrationally, but there's good reason behind it. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Really good.
Make a book list, Rachel.
I
have hundreds of books on there.
I want to give some content recommendations, and I'm gonna jump on some stuff on YouTube as well. Rachel Oates does a really good show, but Prophet of Zod also does a good show, but with like a smart host. So anyway,
no, I can get behind that.
The funny thing is with podcasts and even YouTube, I don't much consume atheist content, to tell you the truth, and I mean there are specific shows I do, and especially if it's a topic that I'm interested in, but I read and watch a lot of tech stuff, and tech podcasts would be the only podcast I really listen to. I used to not listen to anything. That said, I have a podcast called Modern Day Atheism, which I highly recommend. Shannon Q was on episode 2 of it. It was amazing. But as books go, if you're looking for specifically atheist stuff, there's really nothing bad in the Hitchens library. Generally, probably my favorite book in existence, because I love to read lots of books like this as well. It's called Nothing to Envy, and it's about, it's basically... I don't think people expect this out of me, but it's basically love stories out of North Korea and the way people have like snuck around the state and the rules and things like, and they're true stories, and it's of people who eventually did escape, and even people who like were secretly in love in North Korea and then they got split up and they both independently escaped and met back up like years later. That's probably my favorite book. Did you say you already read it though? It sounded like you did.
No, I just have read a lot of stuff about North Korea, and there was a book called Escape from Camp 43, or it was some number, and it was about the only person who had been raised in with the elite. Oh, no, sorry. He was the only person that had been raised in a prison camp in North Korea and escaped. And that's really fascinating. So if you're interested in that. Yeah,
absolutely. I don't know what my fascination with North Korea is. It should any resolution happen one day and those borders open up and it become a safe place, it's definitely a place I want to. It's kind of like there's a morbid fascination too. Like I want to be able to go there and see the things that I read about. So I'd want to go early before like it joins the modern world and doesn't suck so much.
Yeah. Like we all want them to be okay, but I mean, it's. But yeah, I've seen all of your videos and all of Rachel's videos. I'm working on Shannon's, and the NonSeqShow, they're very long, but I watch a good portion of them.
It's okay. You don't have to get to mine. I understand if you don't get to mine. No one needs that health crisis in their life.
I'm glad you watch everything from Rachel and I. My channel's a lot like hers, but. Anyway.
Oh my God.
It's more like mine, but with a more charismatic, tactful host.
No, that's not true. Tactful, certainly not. Bree, thank you so much for calling in and really showing us what Rachel really thinks of us.
Thank you for sharing. I can't wait to read all those things.
Awesome. Thank you. give me just a second. I'm going to change some settings here. So basically, there's enough room for one more caller to get in, and there will be a total of 4 calls left. We're going to try and take these calls a little bit quicker than we've taken the calls so far. That way, we can also do the other way that we always do with these Q&As, which is reading the super chats at the end. So if you couldn't get on, here's a shameless plug of you can always super chat myself or Kyle, and that's another way to get your questions read. In the meantime, Catherine has a question for Shannon Q.
Oh, hi, Catherine.
Oh my God. Okay, can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah. Hi.
Oh my God. Hi. All right. Sorry. Yeah. I just literally just got home from work, so I ran up to my bedroom, so I wouldn't make too much noise. All right. So my question for Shannon is, it's like a 2-parter. So first of all, first part is, what is the craziest thing that you found of how religion affects the human psychology? And second, what got you focusing on how, again, religion affects the human psychology?
Okay, the craziest thing that I've found thus far, and the reason I made a series on it, is Christian counseling, deliverance ministries. Because they're overtly damaging, and they usurp legitimate mental health, and they literally tell people who have schizophrenia, for example, that there's schizophrenia by demons inside of them, and that they shouldn't be on their medications that are mitigating that disease, and they actively advocate for people to not seek mental health assistance, and they charge people money for it. So it's not only damaging, it's essentially a racket and a legal one, and it covers all the bases. Like right,
I just need to jump in real quick. Catherine, I'm going to return you to the call queue and bring you back in at the end. But what's happening right now is the audio feedback from your phone, for some reason, is competing with Shannon, and it's lowering her volume. So just letting you know that you'll still be able to hear us, and I'll bring you back in at the end. But I'm going to return you to the queue so we don't have that audio competition there.
I actually kind of like that.
That's kind of mean. That's kind of mean to say.
It covers all the bases because they do deconversion therapy, which is, I hate that so much. I just hate it. I hate it so much that I'm going to actually have to do a series of video within that series just on that in order to cover it adequately. And because they're so good at obfuscating their communication and bypassing the legal system and all manner of ethical conduct, I have to do a great deal of research. It's like untying a series of really, really, really tangled knots to be able to address them adequately and efficiently. So that would be the most damaging thing that I found thus far. The reason that I honed in on psychology specifically was because when I entered, I have a degree in psychology. So I focused on perceptual cognition and communication theory when I was constructing my my thesis level work and going into my seminar courses. And I always had an interest in cognition and perception. Ultimately, I didn't end up, but I was going to work with autistic people in order to help them communicate better and not increase, but improve their communication strategies and give them a broader breadth of communication strategies. Initially, I went in just to engage in conversations on other channels, and then I got 1,000 subscribers before I posted a video. So I decided to start making videos because I jokingly said I would if I got to 1,000 subscribers, and I did. So I started focusing on communication strategy, and then I was starting to come across in my travels a lot of armchair psychology that was being used in apologetics, and a lot of just flat out false bullshit that was being wrapped in psychology for counter apologetics, and I found it incredibly harmful. And I thought that I was uniquely positioned where I had to focus in communication and articulation and an understanding, a slightly higher than rudimentary understanding of psychology, to be able to research and address those specifically and fill that niche with my specialty as it was needed. So hopefully that answers your question, and thank you so much for calling, Catherine. It really makes me happy that somebody had a question for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Catherine, was that did that all suffice for you?
Yeah, it definitely is. The audio working? I switched my earbuds. If not, I can just unplug them completely.
It's way better. Just in time for the end of your call. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Perfect. Yeah, I just switched them out. I'm sorry. I got new headphones. They're probably just really cheap and trash. But yes, I just wanted to say real quickly, thank you. Yes, thank you so much. I think you guys are like, I remember trying to call like for like the first show, and like I called an obscene amount of times and didn't get in. So sorry if like that bogged up like your machines. But yeah, I love your guys' channels like so much. I'm sorry I haven't been participating in a lot of like the live streams today. I've just been so busy with like work and stuff, like missing like the video calls and everything.
No worries at all.
Like,
I know.
You know work instead of watch us.
Yeah, I know what Catherine this is. Catherine's amazing. Thank you so much for calling, Catherine. We're gonna jump on right now too. We're competing now with Game of Thrones, so we do need to work on wrapping up. But thank you so much.
That's why Jimmy's getting uppity.
I'm getting all twitchy.
I always. Oh, sorry, I cut you off there. I feel bad. Us all equally, and now probably me a little bit less.
That's why you got angry.
I always aim for 90 minutes, though, for the record. But I have been paying attention, and our callers, our actively watching audience went down by like 20% when Game of Thrones started. So we'll try and run through these and those super chats here. That's fucking right. You fucking know it. You know I love me some Game of Thrones. Looks like we have, is it Nicey or Nikki, or what is the right way to say the name that's in front of me?
We're going to go by Nicey. I like that.
I like Nicey.
Hi, Nicey.
Hello. Can you
hear me? Yeah, we hear you. Yeah. You're real quiet, but we hear you.
Oh, gosh. Okay. 1 second. Let me just switch to my other headphones. Literally just have the same problem like that.
Yeah. It's ironic. Even with the gain boost here. What's your question though for us?
All right, so it is Nikki, like Nicole.
Okay.
And I'm sorry if my microphone quality is garbage. These are like garbage headphones. I'm so sorry.
We can hear you fine.
Yeah.
All right. So specifically, I wanted to ask you guys what your like first, like, if you can remember, like, your first doubt that, like, really, really needled you, like, right at the beginning of your journey to, like, atheism, or, like, just the first doubt you ever had, period.
I've got a good one for this, but I never try to go first on these things. Let's start with Rachel.
Yeah, probably a good place, actually, because I've never been religious. So I probably don't have the same kind of stories as you guys. And I was never brought up religious, and I was kind of taught Bible stories in school, but I always took them more like fables with kind of stories with lessons and kind of things to take away like that. I remember being around 6 or 7 years old, and my sister turned to me and she's like, "Oh, do you believe God exists then?" And that was the first time anyone had ever kind of like asked me if I actually thought this stuff was real or not. And so my answer, like, I just thought for a second, I was like, no, I don't. And
lucky you.
Yeah, it's just kind of carried on since there. The big one for me was I was like, where are the dinosaurs in the Bible? But that was like 6-year-old me.
You should ask Ken Ham.
Yeah, or Ken Hogan.
What is it he says of dinosaurs? They're like, what's the word? Do you know what I mean? There's like something referenced in the Bible, and it's like an elephant or something. And he's like, no, that's evidence of dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Ken Ham's answer is, were you there? Were you there?
You weren't there, so you don't know. Listen, I do know. I got a book that tells me. Shannon, how about you? First out.
I don't know exactly what. It's it's a journey, so I couldn't pinpoint the first doubt because it's like grains of sand through an hourglass. But I can tell you,
not for me.
The one that I can tell you the one that's the most.
Sorry,
I can tell you the one that's the most prevalent. The one that's the most prevalent to me is I decided I'd had a series of things happen in my life that were not great, and I decided to turn to my faith in that time. And I decided, you know what, I've been preached to my entire life. I've never actually read the Bible. So what I'm going to do in order to entrench my faith further is I'm going to read through the Bible. So I did, and I got to Numbers, and I hit the test for the unfaithful wife. And when I hit the test for the unfaithful wife in Numbers, I'd been able to kind of reconcile and rationalize all the way up until that point. And then I hit that point and I went, God's giving this person an abortion involuntarily. I'm assessing him. I am applying my subjective moral standard to God, who is the person who I am supposed to be deriving my morality from.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should question more things. That was the one that snapped it in my head, and I was like, I need to look at this critically instead of looking at it to find answers. I need to look at it to see if there's any answers at all to begin with. That was my moment.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And here I am. Guess what? I didn't find any. Just more questions.
Mine was really cool because of last week and what happened. Because I was at I was actually at a youth group one night, and a group of guys that were there were watching an Arn Ra video, and he was actually on the Atheist Experience, and he was talking slavery in the Bible. And I remember going, slavery's not in the Bible. I've never heard of slavery in the Bible. And I went home because it bothered me, and I pulled the episode back up and turned to the scripture that he actually said on the show. And actually, Jim did a really good job. Arn and I did a trivia from the It's Fateless forum together, and Jim actually cuts back when I'm telling this story and shows that moment where Arn on the Atheist Experience is telling this, and it just like brought back a flood of memories for me. But that entire week, I just binged on his videos and him and Matt Dillahunty, and it kind of came full circle last week because I was actually at the Atheist Experience with Aaron there in person. Yeah, it was sort of it was sort of it all came full circle. But once I realized that there was sort of that side of it, and owning people as property is just atrocious. How could I seriously follow something that taught that, and especially a God that would condone that? I didn't feel right after that, and it wasn't long after that I just hung it up.
Cool. Okay, so my first doubt is very clear to me. I mean, I'm not saying there weren't things that didn't make sense before this, but the first time I was in church and went, oh shit. And I've told this story on a couple of videos, and I don't remember what they're called, so if you want to hear the long version, we're going to try and power through this. But basically, I was sitting in what is called Fast and Testimony meeting, and that is the first Sunday of every month. Anybody from the congregation can get up and tell you why the church is true. And there was a specific woman who got up, and she told the story of what she initially thought were angels helping out in her house, helping out with tasks and playing with her children. She
Karen.
comes to find out that it was actually a vagrant, that a homeless person was living in her home secretly, and that this person was doing that. And she goes around the house and is yelling and is saying things like, we're leaving for a couple of hours. When we come back, you have to be gone. Again, this is a person with children. And she comes back, and this is where she starts to break into tears because she talks about the house was in the most pristine condition, and she just knew whoever this individual was, whether or not they were a real angel, they were still an angel to her, and she's getting really choked up about what a blessing this stranger living in her house playing with her kids was, that she never herself met. And I look around the room, and I'm somewhere between 12 and 14 at the time. I guess closer to 12 than 14. I look around the room, and the first person I look for is my dad, who, because we have a huge family, we were in different rows in different places. Anyway, because my dad and I have similar senses of humor, and we gave ourselves this look of like, what is going on here? When I look at the rest of the room is crying, and the rest of the room is super touched by this story, and that was the first time I went, oh no, this could all be bullshit. And I remember that was the phrase I said, because you're not allowed to swear as a Mormon, and I immediately prayed for forgiveness for just thinking the phrase bullshit.
So, you know that show Touched by an Angel that used to come on?
Yeah.
Be touched by a vagrant. By a vagrant.
Which it's listen, nothing against people who are down on their luck and haven't had the life privileges I've had, absolutely. But the fact of the matter is that story should have ended with a call to a police, not a humble, loud request for the individual to leave their house. That was my first heavy doubt. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Nikki, did you get? Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
forgot. So I grew up like a Pentecostal, like the really, really like light version. Like we would like speak in tongues, like foursquare, like raise our hands and worship and stuff. But I distinctly remember when I was in I think second grade or third grade or something. I remember they were telling the story about the Garden of Eden, and like I just kept like asking over and over again, like, but why would God put the tree of knowledge of good and evil, even though he knew that if they took from it, they were all going to die? Like the very first like chapter, I had problems with. Like, but why did he plant that tree in the first place? I don't get it. If he never could give me an answer that satisfied.
I'm so proud of you right now, Nikki.
My issue with that story is more recent, and it's that in studying and trying to find it, God never commanded Eve not to eat from the tree. He commanded Adam, and then Eve was created afterwards. So there's another hole in the story that she did anything wrong in the first fucking place. Anyway.
God lied.
Yeah. He does that. Thank you so much.
It also says, like, distinctly that it was a snake, which was the most cautious of all creatures. But it was like, no, it's Satan. Like, it's a nuance. So, like, they didn't put it in the right way. And
right.
Just as an aside, Shannon can speak in tongues, right?
Oh, wow.
Shannon. Shannon, you did it when we were outside of Kona Grill.
I did a good job. I went,
come on.
I don't know why. I don't know why they added the snake was Satan. I don't know why they couldn't have just gone with a normal snake that talks to people. Thank you very much for calling in, Nikki.
It's like you ever had a friend like you're at the movies, and there's like there's wizards or whatever, and they make the wizard does something. And I used to have a friend, we would watch Lord of the Rings, and he'd tap me and he'd go, "That's not really how it goes."
Oh, like what wizardry?
How the spells work.
I was like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I love that. I love that with like you're just sitting with people in like a Harry Potter movie, and they're just like, you couldn't actually run that fast.
Right.
You saw
the
magic, right?
The dragons.
You saw the actual dragons. I know the guy who plays Sam
dragons
on
can't
Game
fly
of
that high.
I know the guy who plays Sam on Game of Thrones always complains about how people will be like, wait, so Sam walked across a continent, but he was still fat at the other side? And he's like, really? Of all the things you think are unrealistic, that's the one that gets you?
There was a big controversy about them when they dragged Viserion out of the ice, out of that lake. They were like, where did they get the chains? You mean they were walking around that icy tundra with these big dragon chains?
Okay, I do want to. I'm not saying that makes it impossible. I do want an answer to that question, though. I do want to know where the chains came from.
It's a dragon that come back to life, and you're going to ask where the chains come from.
But they didn't have like steel industry in the north, and the army of the dead is basically made up of northern wildlings. What'd you say?
They had a forge somewhere. There could have been a forge somewhere.
Look at just
they got them at
weapons.
Walmart. If you look
their
across the ice,
were so like what's the word I want? They were so basic. They were basic, yeah, but it wasn't perfect. They were like rocks on. They were tomahawks practically. I don't know. They
got them at the ice Walmart. At the ice Walmart, that's right beside Castle Black.
Goddamn Walmart.
But then those cannibals had piercings, so I guess it was with everything.
Oh, Jimmy didn't hear my Walmart story.
We don't have time for it. Tell them to me later.
No.
Good.
Kitty, we gotta move through this fast. Kitty, you are on the air.
Yeah.
Kitty?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. I just want to say that I look up to all you four so much, and you guys are just such genuine good people, and I'm so excited to be talking with all of you.
Oh, you mean three?
Sweet.
Those three.
That's very sweet.
What was that?
He's just trying to ruin everything. Let's just go to your question.
I said those three.
No.
Never mind. Oh, it was a joke.
Yeah.
That Jimmy killed. He took the energy right out of it.
I did. Just like our relationship. Go ahead. What's your question, Kitty?
We're breaking up.
So I am a high school student, and I am like super, super interested in sex education. It's one of my favorite things to learn about, and I'm just like super fascinated with learning about it and teaching other students about it because I think it's something that's so important, and I think it's something that people tend to gloss over so much. And I've heard you like speak these opinions about like the way that you're like very open about porn, which is something that I personally think is like a good thing when it comes to like adults and people who are like actually have like a fully developed brain. But I was wondering if there was like any chance that you would want to do maybe like a debate with me about like kind of the system that porn has and the effects that it has on young children, because like I really look up to you, and I think it would be really cool to kind of have those conversations and also kind of educate people about like not only porn is like in a healthy way when you're adult, but also kind of the dangers of it is when you're young. And I don't necessarily want to say a debate because I want it to be a very friendly conversation and not anything to necessarily change your mind.
Right.
But like just a very like healthy conversation about it.
Yeah, so I'm 100% open to new information. In regards to specifically the phrase debate, I just don't do debates. They're not...
Yeah, of course.
My problem is that I think I could debate very well on what is valued in debate, which is performing and shitting on the person you're supposed to be debating with.
Absolutely.
But I couldn't, like I can't do, Hitchens was the ultimate debater of all time. And in a way, as atheists, we're at a disadvantage that Hitchens was on our side, because no one on our side lives up to Hitchens. Because Hitchens had a reference library ready at all times and could shit on his opponent, both. Simultaneously,
and they still loved
all the
him.
time.
He was so charming.
I am. I mean, I don't have a non-nuanced view on pornography. And for the record, just in case other people are listening, because you alluded to my openness in talking about pornography. I'm just a very open about sexuality. I'm a very sex-positive person, and I've spoken about. On air with certain people as well, that there are dangers and abuses that come from pornography. However, I think that, like with many things that people can overindulge on, that there is definitely healthy ways to consume it, and that not everybody who consumes pornography, or not even most people who consume pornography, go down a rabbit hole that's unhealthy, like you see in like celebrity stories like Terry Crews. Regarding children, that I mean, it definitely wouldn't be a debate, because I don't know that I have a solid answer on what age I think it should be introduced to children or something. The thing is, the internet exists, so I think my position on it is we have to have healthy conversations about pornography and try and start understanding boundaries and limits and things from a very young age, because it doesn't matter whether or not I say like the ideal age for someone to start looking at porn is 18, is because it's still going to be a lot of 12 and 13-year-olds on their smartphones, regardless of what the age is. And so I
of course, I definitely agree with that.
So send me whatever information. I have an open email account. I try to get to things as I can. Whatever information you want me to consider. But as far as an on-air debate or something like that, very unlikely to happen.
Well, if you would like, but if you would like to have that discussion with someone, you can come on over, and we can find somebody that
when you
disagrees.
are 18.
Yes, disagrees, and you can have that conversation. Absolutely.
I'm not trying to. Oh shit! I pulled out my headphones. I'm not trying to set the rules down for the non-sex show, but I imagine Kyle means if and when you are 18 years old.
Oh no, we've had yes, when you're 18. It was a joke.
I was going to say, even if you've had under 18 for certain types of debate, when it comes to very adult-themed content, you have to, because there's restrictions in the way you can have those conversations. Anyway,
I don't think we've ever had anybody under 18 actually at all. I don't know, but yeah, you'd have to be at least 18 before we would have that kind of conversation. How old are you now? Just curious.
Yeah, of course. At the moment, I'm 15, almost 16.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
so the bad news is there's no way non-sec will exist in 3 years, but
that's true.
Neither will my channel, so there's that. Thank you very much for calling, and definitely feel free to keep in contact and send whatever information you want
I'm winning
you
the hair
want
poll.
me to have.
Yeah, thank you so
anybody's
much.
wondering.
I love all your stuff, and you guys are just really cool people, and I love watching your stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kyle and I talked about this recently because Kyle wanted to have, I guess it was like a month ago, but you wanted me on to talk to somebody. And then lately I keep getting my private tweets keep getting blown up from people wanting me to get in debates. And I have consumed a lot of debates, and I find a lot of them very useful and informative and stuff. But so much of it is just pageantry now. It's not about who's right. It's about who performed better.
We just had you. I think we just had you. The only one you've done with me is the Jay Dyer one. But I remember somebody just brought this up. Some people want us to do a review of. Have you been told this? The people that want us to watch
and review gay porn.
Yeah.
I'm in. Not with a
How would you even do that?
Not as a call-in show. Well, you can okay, here's the thing. I think I'm genuinely on my other channel going to start reviewing pizza. And so I imagine with the pizza, you want to talk about the presentation, the consistency, the effectiveness of, the flavor and everything.
I would just be blushing the entire time.
I would just review it like pizza, except I'd be saying I imagine this scene tastes like such and such.
Oh gosh. Oh my.
Audrey, you are on the air.
Hey, how's it going, dude?
Good, how are you?
It was going well.
Off the rails, it was fine.
I'm doing all right. Hey, so before I ask my question, I just wanted to say, Jimmy and Rachel, I look up to you guys so much, and I wanted to say that I loved your verbal thrashings of anti-LGBTQ content. And it's just the best thing ever because I'm a young lesbian, and hearing that it's very encouraging, getting some support and some factual evidence against these groups and pieces of content. So I really do appreciate that.
If I can say something related to that too, I had no idea going into my channel that was going to be the content void I was going to try and help fill, and it's been surprising.
Oh, really?
And I think it's
well, you have.
I created a channel to answer literally the original intention. If you go and watch my first 10 episodes, it was, this is a question atheists are asked, here is the answer. And we get asked these questions over and over and over again. And that's not remotely my channel anymore. I did obviously I did the video response to Josh Feuerstein early on, but until the Girl Defined video I did in December that made my channel explode, I hadn't really done much. I hadn't veered off of that model a ton of the here's what I hear, or here's what I'm told, or here's what, as an atheist, we get exposed to. And so the best part is it's way more fulfilling. I can tell you that doing this kind of content, not just because people watch, but this kind of content helps a group of people that I didn't even know I would have something valuable to contribute to. And so, it was never a plan of mine to be, to have a video that was attacking homophobia and misogyny all the time, but I absolutely love it.
Yeah, well, keep doing it, man. Love it.
Yeah. Rachel's better than me, and it sounds better.
No, definitely not. But
that voice.
No, thank you so much.
Only I have a good fake British accent, but it's not even as good. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Audrey.
Yes, so the question I want to ask you guys actually is nothing to any of that, what I just said at all. I actually want to know what it's like to be an influencer in this crazy, bizarre age, and especially since the content you guys are covering, what's it like to be an influencer in your guys' situation?
I'm terrified to open my inbox every morning.
Yeah.
I can imagine, good sir.
The funny thing is, Kyle was making a joke that's 100% true. He might not have meaning to be kidding. Yeah.
I believe it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I don't think of myself as an influencer. I think of myself as sort of a conduit to the sort of macabre and the the curious mind. You know what I mean? Like even though people would normally consider it to be, you would normally shy away from some of the things that we sort of talk about. I think at a certain point, it interests everyone on some level, just because you want to understand why someone thinks the way that they do, why they consider the earth flat, or viruses not existing, or dinosaur bones being planted by a secret order, and so to me it's a lot of fun getting to number one, it's entertaining. You're never bored, but there are side effects, like your inbox is never really the same.
No.
Yeah.
On a multitude of levels.
Let's do Shannon next.
Interesting.
I find it very fulfilling, but it's also incredibly complex, because I didn't ever anticipate myself being in this situation at all. It still blows my mind daily that people find value in what I'm saying. Yeah. That's one of the reasons I put out a video like once every month, is because I need to make sure that I researched it to the end of the world, because I'm talking about things that are contentious and things that are important to people, and people's perceptions of themselves and perceptions of others lay in the balance. So it's very, very important to me that I get it right. On the flip side of that, once, on the back end, when you're not producing content, when you're just existing as yourself, in the social media world, especially, and in real life, it becomes increasingly complex, especially if people see you as an advocate, because then you're suddenly put in a position where everybody wants to hand you a sword to go fight their battle. And you want to fight their battles, but you can only hold so many swords. And if you can't jump if you can't jump that moment and go to their defense, or if you want to wait a moment because you need to study what's going on in order to even be sure that you're making a good defense, then suddenly people are going to cast judgments of you, because people form those parasocial relationships where they feel like they know who you are, and they feel like you're betraying who you are to them in that moment because they were counting on you. And that becomes really difficult, because it means something to me to make people not happy, but to do something to better people's lives or to better people's perceptions. And I feel it when they think that I've let them down because I'm not acting in accord to the way that they want me to, or the way that they think I should in that situation, or because I don't have time, or because, I'm with my kid, or I'm at my job, like a real life job. Yeah. Well, those things are really, really complex. But every moment of it is worth it, because every once in a while, and more often as I'm becoming more popular, I get somebody send me a message to tell me that something I said was really important, and it changed their perception on something, or it changed the way that they were going to treat other people. And if even one or two times in my life that happens, it's worth the rest of it happening.
Shannon's really good at phrasing complex issues in a way that I can understand, which has been super helpful for me. So and then to be able to, it also helps you when you get to that base level. And it was meant to sound a little funny, but it's honestly the truth. Once you get to that base level, it also helps you in your own research and direction and how to find more stuff. So Shannon, I think, doesn't realize she not only helps the people who consume her content, but other creators by a whole bunch. Yeah. Go cry in the corner.
I adored that response. That was incredible. Very heartfelt as well. It's just I could feel what you've been going through in those words, and that's powerful, my friend.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet of you to say. I try not to speak unless I mean it.
How about Rachel?
So for me, it's just kind of like an absolute honor to be able to do a job that I absolutely adore and speak about topics that I'm so passionate about, but it's absolutely terrifying as well, because I'm so scared that
I can imagine.
I'm so scared I'm not going to be able to do it justice for some people. And my favorite moments are when people tell me how I've helped them or how I've changed things for them. So I had this really emotional moment at Faithless Forum where I gave this speech, and as part of it I was saying, we're all so much more than just atheists, and there's more to you than just a belief or lack of belief. And afterwards, a guy came up to me, and so he came up to me and he was like, I'm transgender. And so many people just see me as transgender, but there's so much more to me than that. And so what you said really kind of resonated with me. And he like thanked me for saying that stuff. And like, I got really emotional and I started crying, and then he started crying and kind of hugged it out. And it was amazing. And it was like moments like that make everything worth it. Knowing that you're touching these real people, not touching real people, but emotionally touching real people.
That could be misinterpreted.
Yeah.
We prefer touching real people.
No, but I understand in the context of the situation. No, I understand.
Yeah.
It's things like that make all the scary stuff and the difficult stuff and the emotional stuff worth it. And I love it. I'm so grateful I can do this.
Yeah. That was a great speech too, by the way, Rachel.
Thank you so much.
So on the tail end of...
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I was just saying on the tail end of... I'm going to leave. No, I'm kidding. I'm just making this all worse.
No, please don't. Stay there,
on the tail end of it all, I touched a little bit before your question on the things that are great and seriously being able to interact with people and help people. As far as, because you were asking what it's like to be an influencer in today's world, and it is, and a few of them mentioned it too. There's a lot about it that's honestly super duper terrifying, and something that I kind of like to share from time to time so people know this about me when they see me at conventions or out in public or whatever. I am a ginormous shut-in, and despite being, I think Rachel called me charismatic earlier. It sounds less douchey if I use her word than if I say it for myself. I feign an appearance of extroversion. I wouldn't leave my house or now my studio if I ever didn't have to, and so there is some level too of just like the hardest part of it. So the great part, that's all makes it super duper worth it. The hardest part of it is losing your anonymity. And that part's been something I've been trying to work on lately and try and be better so that when I am now at a part of my life that I never thought I would be in, which is being recognized by people in public, being recognized by strangers in public. And that is, with someone the amount of social anxiety I have is a literal nightmare for me. So I'm trying to work on it.
Okay.
Because you asked what it was like being an influencer, and these three gave such wonderful and amazing answers, I did want to give you just a little bit of, and I think everybody feels a lot of these anxieties and fears and things themselves too. I just wanted to take their great answers and then bring everybody down and say, maybe try and remember if you see a creator in public that they are humans and have the anxieties and fears that you likely have, and there's definitely nothing. So much about what I'm going through with the channel is amazing, but life is still life, and so I still get sad, I still get anxious and that kind of stuff, and so just to try and give both sides of the coin there. I'd love to just be the dancing monkey and just be like, yay, everybody's entertained by me, but there is some complexity to our personalities.
See, I'm a hugger though. I'm a complete opposite. If you see me out, you can come running up to me and hug me like Shannon did in the lobby of
I did.
Although that was frightening, Shannon.
Yeah.
I'm an absolute hugger,
I just
though.
one little thing to say though, like, and it's kind of an anecdote from Faithless Forum, and this is kind of telling for a lot of creators, I think. And Zod did a video where it kind of touched on it. We were at the VIP lunch, and Drew, Genetically Modified Skeptic, was like, "Go sit with people, talk to them." And I was like, and immediately I was like, I can't do that, because I'm going to be walking up to people and being like, I'm Shannon, right? You guys want to talk? Like, that's a weird situation to be in. Like, I'm not going to go up and be like, you guys want to talk to me because I'm Shannon? Like, I'm just going to sit here and wait to see if... So I insulated a little bit. And then I was just like, I'm panicking now because I feel like I'm supposed to talk to people. If I don't talk to people, they're going to think I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
And if I do
think that anyway.
They don't even know who I am. And then I'm going to feel horrible. So I just left.
Right.
I just walked over.
Oh my gosh.
What to do? So, you want to talk to us?
Well, hey, Jim.
Hey, Jimmy, if I happen to see you at Denver Comic-Con, I'll make sure not to run up and jump hug you.
I think there are some competing audio lines there again, too, but I think you're saying if you see me at Comic-Con, yeah. I will tell you, so to be specific to people, I don't mind a hello and a like, hey, I see your channel. That's awesome. And I don't even mind taking selfies with people. All of those are fine. People like to get in extended conversations when I'm like out. So the most recent time it happened, I was out with a group of friends and was pulled away for like 10 minutes and eventually had to make an excuse why I had to leave. And so like the hello and the all that stuff's very... That's all nice and fine. Also, if I say I can't, I'm sorry, I have to go right now, I probably have diarrhea because that's like my life. And so just let me go and don't be offended. Because
good to know.
With a combination of chronic illness and chronic anxiety, I've had as much diarrhea as all of my people watching together combined now. And so it's just a matter of like, I was talking to this on my Patreon call the other day. I've literally thought about making business cards that say like, hey, I'm sorry I ran away from you when you were trying to talk to me. I'm headed to take care of myself right now. Please don't be offended. Here's my email address. Here's my headshot. I don't know. Like, there's that's what
all content creators need something like that at this point.
Yeah. Sorry I ran away.
Get out of jail free card.
Please don't try and ruin my reputation on Twitter about this.
I'm the exact opposite. Like I love jump hugs and all that stuff. I love that.
And Kyle has said so, which makes it okay. Don't, for anybody watching, never presume because Kyle said that one, he might not change his mind eventually, and two, that applies to other creators.
I would never change my mind, not on you people. I love you too much. I'm a slave to this for y'all.
That's Rachel.
Yes, I am.
I don't love her either, but I can attest to their hugging abilities. They're great.
Bring me all of your hugs. Bring me all of your hugs.
Thank you, Audrey. Though I think that was a great last call. We're gonna let you go so we can do the write-in questions, and so I can get to Game of Thrones here soon.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You guys do what you do.
Thank you. Bye, Audrey.
Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thank you for the call.
That was fun. You're all so nice, and I feel like I'm always. In fact, Shannon, we did this with Seth Andrews once too, where you and Eric kept giving really good constructive answers, and I was always like, well, as the person who wants to bring everybody down, there is also some shit to it all, and so yeah, it was. I feel like I'm always Eeyore. That was a good.
To be fair though, Eric and I are probably the two most positive humans on the face of the planet. Eric more so even.
Oh my God,
Eric is just the nicest person.
I should have reached out to all of you before you went there to just say to Eric. In fact, Rachel, you're still there, so you can do this. Next time you see Eric, just keep going. Keep saying to Eric, hey Eric, are you excited? And if he doesn't get it at first, say it again. By the fourth time, he'll be like, oh, Jimmy told you to say this, don't you? That's just like, he's always so enthusiastic for other people's happiness, which is the kindest and sweetest trait. But I like to make fun of him because he always says, hey Jimmy, are you excited? Whenever something's going up in my...
Shannon, there's this rumor going, I don't know if you see this, but there's this rumor going in the live chat that says, I'm about 90% sure Shannon and Kyle are secretly married, though.
I'm not going to confirm I'm not going to confirm anything, but no. Kyle is daddy and Shannon is mommy. That's all that matters.
We do bicker in public like an old married couple, so there's that.
Please start a conspiracy that
you've never had to follow him around a hotel to try to figure out where he's supposed to go at 2 o'clock in the morning.
No, it was not where I was supposed to go. That's unbelievable right there.
You're supposed to go to your room and you landed at Walmart.
No, I'm talking about the night before.
I do want to see a
elevator chair.
I want to see a series of videos on this conspiracy. There needs to be like xylophone music in the background that like do 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 do. That kind of thing has to happen.
If you only knew.
But I won't know tonight because we need to get through these super chats. Do you want to get your list up and ready?
Here, show you to Kyle.
Okay.
All right, I'll start that.
Kyle Q. All right, Jacob Neeson says, "Can Jimmy make a case for why?" Oh, can Jimmy make a case for why I would watch this on his channel? I guess he's putting his viewership up for crap.
I very much can. The entire episode was on my channel.
Good point. Good point.
And that's really the only point. Yeah, that's the only one I got.
For the first time ever, Vandy left a super chat with no message. That's kind of ominous.
Wow. He usually says
Vandy.
hi.
Yeah.
Well, you remember the last time Vandy commented, he went from you having the best hair to me having the best hair, and
That's
now
right.
he's not saying. So this is Vandy. I'm concerned. Talk to me.
In case Vandy's going to make some decisions, let me just throw this down again.
For the record, I currently have the best hair.
Tatted Philosophy says, Bun versus
Bun versus what?
Spencer cut.
Oh, I mean, it's already happened, but he does have a good point here that you have all the hair and charm of a white supremacist.
That's yeah.
That's Spencer. God damn it.
Oh, I thought you were just shocked at my joke.
Yeah.
It's like, is that really the worst I've...
Shannon, remember what we said at Kona Grill.
For those who don't understand, the individual in the super chat is saying that he has the same haircut as Richard Spencer.
Right, the white supremacist, as Jimmy pointed out.
Yeah.
This is going to make me reevaluate things. Flamio says, we have Dillahunty, we can get by without Hitchens.
I love Dillahunty and consider him a friend. He is not Hitchens. And I don't think he would claim he's Hitchens. No one has had the absolute encyclopedia of knowledge ready at an instant and the verbal skills and the ability to shit on their opponent all at the same time as Hitchens.
There'll never be another Hitchens. And the cool thing about Hitchens was how classy he was. There were stories about how he would go to parties and they wouldn't drink inside, or where he had one of his best friends was Atheist. Actually, there's a book that I've read that the guy wrote once Christopher Hitchens passed away, but. It's
not the guy who tried to lie and make it seem like Hitchens was reading scriptures at the end, is it?
No,
fuck that guy.
No. Okay. This is the guy that he ran those last 3 debates that he did with the forget the name of the debate organization. I think it was like FF something like that. But
I think we are talking about the same guy. So the guy tried to basically gaslight all Hitchens fans into believing that toward the end he was considering his own theism because they were reading scripture together.
It's not the same guy. I know who you're talking about. It's not the same guy though. This guy he would go on trips with, and they would have deep conversations. So he had the ability to completely decimate anybody that was debating against him, but in a way where they thanked him for it afterwards. And that is a rare person to come across. Anytime you can get your ass kicked and then get up and say thank you for that, sir.
Yeah, maybe
That's
not
good.
Dinesh D'Souza, but the rest.
Well, there's always one.
Yeah.
Kuyasa says, I am ostracized and ridiculed because I believe pineapple pizza is awesome. Can our panel say to everyone pineapple pizza is good, just out of pity, please? No, Kuyasa, and quite frankly, I am disappointed that you even hold this stance.
I don't think anyone should. I don't think anyone should hate you.
Rachel.
I don't think anyone should hate you for liking pineapple on pizza. They should only see you as what you are, which is incredibly wrong.
Right.
Mm-hmm. We don't hate you. We judge you harshly.
What'd you say, Rachel?
We don't hate them. We just judge them harshly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's major judges going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So much judges.
We don't hate you. We're just judging you.
But for $100 super chat, I'll say almost anything. So should have brought it here.
Mark Beiser says, "Death to Kuyasa! All pineapple pizza eaters must be purged." To which Kuyasa responded, "They crucified me for praising pineapple pizza, but I resurrected myself, so I'm okay." 500 people saw it. Retro Game Bloke. Shannon and Rachel have the best hair.
Oh.
Would argue.
I think I think it was very sweet of you to say that, and you know that this subscriber of yours cares about these two because they're willing to lie to them to make them feel better.
You know, say whatever gets you to sleep tonight, Jimmy. I'm just saying. I'm currently winning the poll.
Let me tell you what gets me to sleep: laying down on this soft, luscious hair.
I'm sure our opinion would matter, Jimmy, in a stream where people who were smart than us.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Vibrantly Brantley said, nice sound wall, Rachel. I love your new setup.
Oh, thank you. It's Thomas's.
Yeah.
She's actually here in the States
mine.
still.
I am. I'm in Austin at the minute. I'm currently in Holy Kool-Aid and Eric Murphy's house. So thank them for this.
Thank you, Holy Kool-Aid. No, I will never thank Holy Kool-Aid for anything.
That's true.
He is the bane of me.
Yep.
And I think that's let me just double check. I think
let's crush these. All right, yep. we're gonna speed round these. Footless Joe, thanks for all you do. Thank you. LC, thanks for speaking the truth. Thank you. Jacob Neeson, who also was on, said, "Why isn't this streaming on NonSec is non-bot sick today?" That was my fault, for the record, everyone. For some reason, when I clicked the streamer, I have something that simultaneously streams. It only begun what was stream number 1, and I had to manually tell it to start stream number 2. It worked out, because you ended up super chatting me to ask. Kay, homesick with what feels like the plague, 6 days of bed rest, and when I saw the is live notification, my day instantly improved. Thanks for all of you do. You all are so fucking sweet. Now of you just want to make me cry, and stop it. Jordan Crass, I talk to my grandma at least once a week. She's still a strict Pentecostal, but we get along. She dislikes me being an atheist, but it's been 6 years and clear to her, not a phase, stoned to high heaven. That was a separate thing at the end. So his grandma's figured out it's not a phase, which is awesome. But also, Jordan is stoned to high heaven.
Well, you might die. Don't die.
Don't overdose on them marijuanas.
Don't die.
Meredith Navin, thank you. Sending love to all 4 of you. Have to go over and out. Thank you, Meredith. Meredith is so supportive. Super chats on like everything. Marjada Kadilnik. I hope I got that close to right, or maybe it's Settlenik. But no message left. Carissa Jade, my parents are hella Mormon and we live in Utah. How do I get them to understand that I'm an atheist, different from them, and I don't share their ideals without being rude or disrespectful about it? Unfortunately, they're probably going to insist that you're being rude and disrespectful. I would recommend learning polite ways to challenge their beliefs too, because if you can challenge them correctly, at the very least, they will... they can be better at respecting that your beliefs differ. One resource I would highly recommend for that are the Street Epistemologies series by Anthony Magnabosco and Objectively Dan and the like, because they will help you talk to them and at least get to a common ground of like, listen, this is just what you believe. And the difference is in the way you and I are is the way we get to our beliefs. So I think that would be super duper helpful. Anybody have a note on top of that?
Another street epistemologist that's really great is Reed Nice Wonder. If you're going to look at them, I check him out too.
Awesome name. Anyone else? No? Good. Woolly Mammoth said, how did y'all get over your fear of hell? I recently had a near-death experience and found myself praying to God to save my soul. I don't want to forsake myself and my life and values in my last moments. So for me, I made an entire video on it. I highly recommend it. Just search for how I got over religious guilt. It's the same thing for me, and the same process would work for getting over a fear of hell. What about you 3? How'd you get over your fears of hell?
I realized it wasn't real.
I live mine every day.
And I met Kyle.
I just never believed in a hell. But I think accepting death was a big thing for me. And realizing that, this is kind of like our one life and that I just want to make the most of it. That was a huge step forward in just kind of enjoying myself and being happy.
Very cool. Dylan Fuller, are you going to see the documentary Hail Satan? And would you bring Lucien Greaves onto the show? He's a pretty chill guy from other interviews. I have never heard of that person or that documentary, but I will check it out and the person out. And Kyle will have anyone on his show. So yeah,
Not anyone.
The only person he won't is his hair sake.
No. I will not have full-blown Shannon. I refuse to have full-blown Shannon. She must come on when she's at her even kill. No full-blown Shannon.
That is a lie, because you try to antagonize me on purpose. So,
Anybody hear
simmer
something?
down.
Hold on.
Simmer down. Don't make me come over there, honest to God. Jimmy, read more super chats. Mute Kyle, please, also. That would be great. Can you mute Kyle?
I could. I'm being told that Margita said that I read their comment or their name but not their comment. I don't actually show a comment, so if you could put your comment again in the regular live chat, I will read it from there, and just try and tag me if you can at Dear Mr. Atheist. So I'll give you a moment to get that done by answering a couple more of these questions and then come back to you there, Margita. Let's see. TARDIS Chick. For Shannon, my mom is a Christian counselor. My question to you is how to keep her from counseling at my child's school and keep the peace. Also, love ya.
That is a difficult question. I can't believe that if she is one of the NCCA degrees, the National Christian Counseling Association certifications, I can't believe that she would be able to counsel at a school. If she is able to counsel at a school, I would look into the school standards. Like, I would go to the board to see what the standards are for a counselor in the school, because there's board certified counselors that have legitimate licenses that can practice. And then there's Christian counselors who are able to usurp that because they attach themselves to a church as like a tangential affiliation. So I would assume that she would have to be attached to the church, and you could go to the board and essentially say that because of separation of church and state, this person, and you could do this anonymously, this person is affiliated with a church. Their counseling practice would have to be affiliated with the church if they're going to be one of the NCCA counselors. Therefore, they should not be allowed to be a counselor in this school. And also, what are your requirements for licensing in order to deal with children? Because they do not get training that would qualify them to counsel anybody on anything at all, period, full stop. I wouldn't trust one of them to counsel me on how to make cereal. So they shouldn't be around children. So I would go separation of church and state, and you can do it anonymously if you don't want to affect the relationship with your mother, and your mother is the one who is doing it. But I would fight that tooth and nail, because it's not just your kid, it's everybody's kid at that school. Let's get indoctrinated, getting damaging information.
Erica Williams, thank you. Maddie Raymore, started losing my faith about 6 months ago, but my brother died recently, who I was very close to, and I can feel myself yearning to believe again. I just know how much less painful it would be if I believed. I think it is possible that you will see a short-term. I think belief often offers people short-term relief from those kinds of things, but I actually don't think long-term it is in people's best interests. And I just look at the difference between my dad and I. We were both very, very attached to my grandmother. My grandmother's the only person who I have never doubted loved me, genuinely. And so losing her was really, really hard, but I treated her death like a loss. He's treated it like a temporary vacation, like he's going to see her again in a couple of decades. And I think that does make a big difference. So there are secular ways to handle death, and there's research out there. I know it's a video I'm wanting to address in the future too. But I feel for you in wanting to feel immediate relief, because that's rough. Alicia Simmons, there's a bill in the Missouri House right now that would promote Bible literacy in public schools. The idea is that understanding the Bible is necessary to understand Western society opinions. It sounds like some religious people put that. This is the fun thing. Like, this is my argument back to like Ben Shapiro and those people too, who are like, we have to all address that Western values are built on Judeo-Christian values, which they're not. The way it goes is Western values have evolved as people have taken an approach that more resembles something like secular humanism and put their Judeo-Christian values through it. So Western values, as far as freedom for all and everything, these are not religious Judeo-Christian values. Go ahead, Kyle.
I
just had a
democracy,
couple more trickle through, and this one is actually hilarious because it tags in off of the Rachel, love your setup. Vibrantly Brantley came back and said, "Nice purple gravel, Shannon. Love your new setup." True Blue says, "Rachel's smile is like the sun breaking through the clouds."
Aww.
Oh, thank you.
And then Delilah Lovely, you put 2 super chats in with no message. So if you meant to say something, tag me in the live chat, and I will. I'll say that.
So Margita wrote, "Please stop saying man bun because nobody says woman bun. It sounds sexist." So first of all, I say ranch bun. I don't say man bun. I 100% agree that there is no such thing as a gendered bun. However, where I will disagree is there are things like this and guyliner, which is also a significant part of my past, where that word was being used derogatorily, and those individuals who do enjoy it and embrace it and don't think it is remotely the way people are using it just as the punchline, as guyliner was, as man bun was, as a person be like, well, I would take him seriously, but he has a man bun. I am 100% down for the people who have attempted to marginalize individuals with words like that, and I love it when the marginalized communities decide to say, actually, that's our word, so go fuck yourself.
Man bun is because, oh man.
Go ahead, dig the hole.
Man bun is because it's a man wearing the bun. That's why we call it a man bun. It's not a sexist comment.
What Margita said is no one calls it a woman bun. They just call it a bun.
Right.
Your thing was it's called a man bun because a man wears the bun.
We disagree wholeheartly on this.
I'm
I don't think it's a
100%
sexist term at all.
For those individuals who are people try to marginalize and dismiss with phrases like that, I am 100% for communities like that retaking words.
I don't see anybody trying to.
Go ahead.
I just don't see anybody trying to clamoring to take back. Maybe I'm wrong.
Start wearing eyeliner and you'll see, or maybe try a bun one day. Thank you, Ian Green, twice.
I have worn eyeliner before.
Destiny D, thank you. Dreikelder, maybe? How would you guys recommend changing my mother's idea that a parent is justified in kicking their child out of their house if they have a different religion? I'm 16, by the way. I would recommend the same thing I said earlier, is learn about street epistemology and try and not aim for your mother to agree with anybody's, but to just literally get to the point of going, I can respect other people's beliefs because the grounds my beliefs are on aren't better than anybody else's. And when it comes to faith, oftentimes they're a lot worse, but they're not. She's not going to acknowledge that. That'd be my recommendation. What about the rest of the panel?
Look into some cognitive behavioral therapy techniques like emotional priming, for example. So emotionally priming is similar to street epistemology because in street epistemology, you're getting somebody to critically analyze and drill down to their beliefs. With emotional priming, you're getting somebody to critically drill down and analyze the source of their emotions and future project the consequences of those emotions if they're reacting irrationally. So you can run scenarios, hypothetical scenarios, for example, just to feel the person out. And that'll give you a general idea of why they're coming to those decisions, and then do some future projection with them, like, well, what if you had a child? Like, how would you feel if you did have to kick me out? How would you feel if we never were able to talk again? Do you think that there would be a way around that? Like those types of emotional priming. If you're specifically trying to guard against being kicked out, you're not going to be able to completely change her belief system in order to get her to decide not to kick you out. But you may be able to find a way, at least in the interim, for her to augment her perception on that part of the belief system. And that's a good first step. That makes sense.
Beautiful.
And it might protect you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was a much smarter answer than mine. Jane Pusecker, I hope that's how you say it. Why is it important to be religious in order to be moral? I seem to be judged because I'm spiritual but not religious, and because my sister and I were brought up humanist. It's not important to be, and that's a misconception of religious people. There's a lot of talked books and individuals out there talking about morality and where it comes from that isn't, that has nothing to do with religion, that happens to do with a natural development of both the human brain but also humans as a species. And so it's unfortunately just your whoever's judging you, it's their hang-ups, because they are insistent upon these ideas that has to be what makes you moral, because otherwise what are they doing it for? Any notes? Kyle, you're grinning. Why are you grinning?
Kyle's not even paying attention.
I'm having a side conversation over here.
He's trashing buns on Reddit.
I'm still trying to figure out how man buns are marginalized. Somebody asked if ponytails were specious then.
So as far as how it is marginalized, I'm not talking about that they are like now their own class of people that we need to put civil rights protections in. But I'm talking about people use it with marginalistic language. So go look through my own comments and people it'll be stuff like, why am I going to listen to this soy boy with a man bun? These are dismissive concepts of as though because I have chosen a bun, exactly. And so it is, and it's
it can also be
it
used
happens
as a
widely.
good thing.
It even
there are
happened
people who embrace the word
with the buns, especially when they first started emerging. It was a something across media and across society that it was an immediate joke and grounds for dismissal. And I fell for it too. And I disagree.
Some people like it. Some people wear it with pride. Though there are people who embrace the term.
That's what I said. Is I'm totally for people who are for people who take a word that has been used against them to be marginalized. The invention of the word man bun was to be a marginalizing term.
Well, I think you can wear it with pride, but I also don't think that. I mean, when you can tell the difference between somebody that's trying to marginalize you and somebody that's just joking with you.
Right. Both exist.
Sure.
And yeah, both do exist. I'm not. This isn't a hashtag not all man bun situation.
That's where I thought we were going with the marginalized. I'm
when
glad
it is the case. Hashtag not all Kyles.
Right.
Target Chick wants to ask Kyle, have you been able to try that cinnamon toast crunch dessert yet? I had it last night.
No, I have not made it to Raleigh yet, but I do have it on my list of things to do. I look at it every day because it's bookmarked on my Twitter feed. So I will get to it, I promise you. And you will be the first person to know when I do.
Unholy Sarah wants to know if you've tried a cinnamon toast crunch shot and says it might be good for when I say libido, because that's something from my channel.
I've made them when I was a bartender.
Cool. People take shots when I say libido. Have you tried a cinnamon toast crunch shot?
I have not, but that sounds divine. That actually will probably be the only way that I get drunk from now on.
I want to say it was maybe a mix of Fireball and rum chata, I think was what it was.
That's not the way that I made them. They were creme de cacao, a little bit of Fireball, and a topper of Bailey's with cinnamon sprinkled on top.
Ooh, I would.
That was probably before rum chata existed.
I don't know what rum chata
new? It's horchata with rum.
I don't know what horchata is.
It's a cinnamon milky drink.
Now I wish this wasn't empty.
It's popular in Mexico. Trap Bitch Lasagna. Hey, Jimmy, how close to Arvada are you? Love ya. I am in southwest Denver, so however close that is. Brutus Magnuson. I'm marrying all of you, then we're starting a farm. Sounds good.
Shannon and I are already married.
It should be a reality TV show.
That explains why I'm so miserable right now.
Rachel and I will be
That's
the
why I don't have a
stepchildren.
sandwich.
And never fucking will. Make your own goddamn.
Rachel and I will be stepchildren. That way that Kyle and I can break into the step market on Pornhub, and all of you know what I'm referring to.
Oh,
Great.
Kyle, you down?
Can't wait for that.
Yeah. Ericamian, thank you very much. Cass, any advice for college? Love you guys. Quit. No, I'm kidding. I just don't use any of my college for what I do. What's your
I do
advice?
a lot. I did a business degree, and it was the most useful thing. I use that stuff literally every day. It's amazing. I'd say pick a course that you're going to be passionate about. Pick courses that you actually think you might use, and just enjoy yourself. Use it as more than just about the education as well. Going to college or uni, as we call it in the UK, like it's about kind of like discovering yourself and your passions and your life and having a chance to be independent. There's so much more than just the academic stuff. So if you can do it, enjoy it, make the most of it.
And don't do it in America, because the thing she's not mentioning there is while she has a business degree she uses every day, would you still be excited if you were $130,000 in debt? Welcome to the U.S.
I have about £50,000 of student loans.
Oh, wow. So it sucks there, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not too bad, though. It comes out when I pay my taxes, so, well, kind of as I pay my taxes.
I see.
So it's not too bad. Like
Shannon, I lost it now. Go ahead and read another one, Jimmy, and then I'll
let me
come
get through
in.
these last two. Destiny D, a coworker that I'm close to constantly talks about God and gets upset if they think someone does not share their belief. No one knows that I'm an atheist. Any advice on how to deal with this? Shame them, make them cry. No, I'm kidding. Really the same stuff. You just need to learn how to ask questions as much as you're making, as often as you're making statements. That tends to help a lot of people cut through.
I'd also say don't be afraid to just turn around to them and say, this is a workplace that isn't really appropriate.
Yeah, this is America.
You know what I mean?
Sorry. It just doesn't work that way here.
Really? Apparently, that's not the way shit goes there.
Depending on where you are, it would be the workplace would turn against you, not if you were like, hey, can we keep beliefs out of things and things secular? Here in Denver, a lot of places that would fly, but I'm guessing where Kyle lives, that would fly fucking nowhere.
They would literally beat you up. Put you in a
they
locker.
would think you were the hostile entity.
That is insane.
Yeah.
That is so insane.
It's crazy around here, especially now. Because especially in some of the smaller businesses that are independently owned, you'll still go in and there'll be all kind of God stuff all over the wall, like the 10 Commandments. It's just everywhere here. Delilah Lovely says Shannon and Kyle's friendship is literally life.
And you have it. It's for sale.
Margita Siedelnick says, please make a sex positive video for teens about deciding to have sex. Don't wait until marriage, but make sure you're not pressured, etc. Yeah, and that's the theme of a lot of videos, but I know an upcoming video I have, I'm not going to target it at teens, but there's tons of videos out there making the case of waiting until marriage to have sex. I'm going to do a video of making the case to not wait until marriage. The reasons why I think you shouldn't wait till marriage to have sex. So that's probably similar to what you're talking about. But again, I'm not going to be like, so 15-year-olds, head out. Now, that was when I became sexually active, but yeah, there's just something about the optics of a almost 30-year-old dude telling kids to go fuck each other.
Something very R. Kelly about it.
Yeah. Is that going to become a word like Orwellian is a word? We're going to start talking about R. Kellyan.
Yeah, they got R. Kelly.
That's very R. Kellyan.
Hey, quit R. Kelly and them girls.
Well, this is as bad as it could be, so let's leave it there. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been absolutely wonderful, and I think it was a smashing success. I couldn't imagine 3 people I would more enjoy putting off a Game of Thrones for an hour and 14 minutes for.
Sub to Shannon and Rachel.
Absolutely.
Make sure that you sub to Shannon and Rachel.
Everybody do that. And
a piece of advice for people as we go out. Just in case people that have, maybe you have an older smartphone, I found this really cool trick. If you don't have a flash on your smartphone, during the day, take a picture of the sun and then use it in the dark.
because you can have pictures open while taking photos. That is an old technology I've never heard of. Thank you all for watching so much. Yeah, just it makes sense if you don't think about it. Good night, everybody. And this is where the music is supposed to be playing, so I'll provide it for a moment. Dun, 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 dun. Oh wait, that's that. That's that one song. Yeah, or that xylophone music earlier for the conspiracy videos for YouTube.
I was doing Game of Thrones.
And we are